The 2024 Warriors have recently developed a new strategy that seems to be paying dividends. It's called give Kuminga the ball and get the out of the way. All jokes aside, after watching the Warriors for the past few weeks, it's clear that something is changing within the organization. Over the past few weeks, there was a certain style of play they live by, which Steph Curry calls organized chaos. But now, at certain times, I don't even recognize them anymore.
The three at the end of the quarter, the lob to start the fourth. Kuminga.
Old, undersized, lethargic is how the media paints them out to be. But with each passing game, that narrative seems to be shifting, and with that shift is the birth of what appears to be a new Warriors death lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA doesn't quite understand this recent development just yet, but after closely watching everything that's going around in the league, I can safely say that all 29 other teams are in for a surprise. Golden State may be sitting outside the play-in picture. They may be a few games below 500. But there's a lot of games left to be played, and as the saying goes, basketball is a game of two halves. In Friday's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, I found myself wondering for the first time in ages, who's Batman and who's Robin? Sure, watching Steph was amazing as usual, hitting long three-pointers and living up to his Splash Brother title, but the real story of the night was Jonathan Kuminga, who was looking like Denzel Washington from Man on Fire. It's been clear that Kuminga has been upping his game up as of late, but on this particular night, he was in his own league. I mean, take a look at this play in transition where he crossed over his defender, then turned into a blur as he attacked the basket. His combination of speed and power is making him look like a miniature Giannis at this point, which is exactly what the Warriors need. Kuminga scored a game-high 29 points on Friday night, showcasing a level of efficiency that would even make Steph Curry proud. And the remarkable part of all this is that he achieved it spontaneously within the flow of the game without needing plays specifically drawn up for him by Coach Kerr. His knack for transitioning from defense to offense is really defining his game, and this play here really highlights his significance to the Warriors system. And as you can see, he's breaking the narrative of old, undersized, and lethargic. Then the cherry on top is the fact that he's starting to effectively communicate with the team. And just like that, the beginnings of the Warriors' new death lineup was starting to take form. On the very next day, unfortunately, the Warriors couldn't rest because they were in State Farm Arena with thousands of Hawks fans cheering on their team. And they sure got their money's worth because on this Saturday night, both Steph Curry and Trae Young showed up and were ready to put on a show. I mean, it didn't matter who they put on Ice Trae that game, he was carving up whatever defense was put in front of him. For example, look at this play here where he takes one dribble from the perimeter, then leaps with his off foot for the bucket before the help defense could step in. Steph Curry wasn't going to stay silent though, because in the second half, the chef went off. I'm talking about 4-point plays. I'm talking about transition threes. I'm talking about doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. 60 points was the damage done by the chef that night, and Kuminga's emerging presence played a huge supporting role. Because of his recent success, he's on scouting reports now, and in this play here, both defenders were so afraid of young JK that they left the best shooter the NBA has ever seen wide open. I can't remember the last time I saw two defenders protecting the drive when Steph Curry was popping out to the three, but this is a testament to Kuminga's development. Unfortunately for Golden State, two things went wrong this game. First, Andrew Wiggins hurt his left foot on a rebound attempt at the end of the second quarter. Then second of all, Klay Thompson decided to pull a no-show, shooting 12 for 13 from three. To cap things off here, DeJounte Murray ended up hitting a clutch shot to tie the game at the end of regulation. Kuminga made a few silly fouls which got him ejected out of the game, and the Warriors once again lost in overtime. Luckily, they didn't have to wait long to find their way back to victory because by Monday, they were up against the Brooklyn Nets. This game was a clear indicator of how much the Warriors have evolved because even though Steph exploded with a game-high 29 points, Kuminga was right there with him, not only scoring an efficient 28 points, but also grabbing 10 rebounds. Watching him on the court, it's evident that Kuminga has truly made his mark. In fact, over the last 10 games, he and Steph have become the highest scoring duo in the entire league. Now, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about when it comes to Golden State, like Trayce Jackson-Davis or Brandon Podziemski, but the main story right now is Jonathan Kuminga. The 21-year-old guard from the Democratic Republic of the Congo is literally turning into an all-star right before our very eyes. Over the past 26 games, he's averaging just under 20 points per night on Jokic-like efficiency. Like, just compare the two. 58% from the field, high 30s for three-point shots, and although JK's free throws could use a bit of work, 74% will do, and I think it's safe to say that the Warriors finally have their number 2 option, and just like that, they're going to have their new death lineup. Basketball Reference has already hinted at this lethal group of 5, but here's the personnels. Steph Curry at the 1, Brandon Podziemski at the 2, Jonathan Kuminga at 3, Andrew Wiggins at 4, and Draymond Green at 5. I know 60 minutes doesn't paint a complete picture, but so far, this 5-man lineup has been doing better than the Celtics starting 5 and the Nuggets starting 5. It's still the hallmark of Warriors basketball with Draymond playing the center position, but now everyone in the lineup is a threat from beyond the arc, and everyone in the lineup can handle the ball and play make to some degree. As a unit, this group has both the greatest shooter and the most athletic player in the NBA. It's a mix of Warriors basketball with the ability to go ISO with Kuminga, and so far, it's proven to be very effective. I know Klay isn't in this lineup, and while some may say he's washed, the truth is, putting him on the second unit would make that second unit the best bench in the league. With 2 devastating leg injuries, Klay isn't the player he used to be, but he still has enough firepower to light up opposing benches, especially if he's getting set up by Chris Paul. Some people may not like Brandon on this lineup because he's a rookie, but to be fair, he's a 6'5" guard who can shoot, rebound, and assist. He might not be the best in any one particular area, but just like Draymond, he's a connector and he does all the little things that contribute to winning basketball. Like this play here where he attacks the offensive glass and gets the putback despite being surrounded by black jerseys. Or in this play here, where he soars high into the air to out-rebound a near 7-foot Nick Claxton before getting swung to the ground and getting the Nets' leading shot blocker ejected out of the game. Now, here's where things get exciting for Golden State. There's 35 games left as of today, and the Warriors have relatively one of the easiest schedules remaining. Based on the developments and trends of this Warriors team, they should easily be able to catch up and grab either the 7th or 8th seed before the playoffs start, which is exactly where they want to be. Because let's face it, based on the standings today, the Warriors would much rather play either OKC or the Timberwolves in the first round rather than the Clippers or the Nuggets. I know OKC and the Timberwolves have been playing solid basketball so far this season, but the playoffs are a completely different animal, and I see their inexperience being a big handicap. On the same side of that coin, though, when the playoffs do arrive, no teams are going to want to see the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors are just starting to figure themselves out, and on top of that, young JK is only scratching the surface of what he's capable of. In the game against the Nets, for example, they crowded him a bit in that first quarter to take away his space, which did throw his game off a bit. But then to start the second half, he adjusted and played 2-man games with the Splash Brothers, which tremendously opened up space for him to attack. Sheesh, guys. Honestly, at this point, the only team the Warriors have to avoid in the playoffs are the Los Angeles Lakers, because when you play against them, it's always 8-on-5. Here's a true story, guys. The other day, when the Lakers played against the Celtics without LeBron and Davis, I thought to myself, the refs are going to give them the game. They can't afford to lose that game. Then lo and behold, I checked the scores and they won, but had a 26-7 free throw advantage. That's 19 more free throws in a 9-point game. Then, in the very next game after that, against the Knicks, they got pummeled on the glass 51-38, and despite shooting relatively the same amount of threes, they had 12 extra free throws in an 8-point game. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this video was about the Warriors and their new death lineup, but the truth is, this is the NBA's real death lineup.